The only way I can fall asleep at night is by spying on my neighbors' daily lives. It started on my very first day in this new place, when I found a hole in the wall. Looking through it, I had the perfect view of the couple next door, and their intimate moments. The woman's name is Ah Jen. She's really young. She has this pale, flawless skin. She looks so mature, yet somehow, so cute. She doesn't work. She just stays home all day, binge-watching shows. She only goes out occasionally to shop. When she's at home, Ah Jen is completely relaxed. She usually wanders around in a pink loungewear set. She's beautiful. The kind of beautiful you just can't forget. Her husband runs a restaurant downstairs, a place called Old Wang's Claypot. All the neighbors just call him Old Wang. And he definitely looks the part of a cook. He's in his 40s, with a blocky face, always grinning at whoever walks by. Every single night, he gets home at exactly 1:30. He takes a shower, gets into bed, and then he gets intimate with Ah Jen. He loves her. Honestly, he's obsessed with her. It's that absolute intoxication a man has for his wife. To him, in those late hours when it's just the two of them, Ah Jen is the most perfect woman in the world. Meanwhile, I just hide in the dark every day. I'm only 3 or 4 meters away from them. And from what I see, seeing Ah Jen's slender, delicate figure standing next to a big, bulky guy like Old Wang, it looks like a helpless lamb next to a big, fat wolf. They usually don't turn out the lights to sleep until 1 in the morning. But I can never seem to fall asleep. In the dead, quiet darkness, all I can see in my head, playing on a loop, is Ah Jen. She's so close, just 1 wall away. Yet, she feels impossibly far out of reach. So far that I might never get to touch her in this lifetime. I feel like I'm losing my mind, walking around in a daze every day, completely consumed by the world behind that wall. Old Wang and Ah Jen are like a daily movie broadcast, showing up right on schedule in my little peephole. But gradually, I started to notice something totally off about them. They barely speak a single word to each other. Old Wang leaves early and comes home late. He works a really tough job. You'd think they would have a lot to talk about. And whenever Old Wang wants her, Ah Jen never turns him down. What I really don't get is, with looks like Ah Jen's, even if she didn't marry some rich celebrity, finding a decent, respectable guy would be a piece of cake. Instead, she's with Old Wang, with his fat gut, reeking of stale cooking oil. Honestly, he's a total downgrade from me in every way. For a couple that looks so loving on the surface, I just don't see a single drop of real affection. It really made me wonder, how on earth did a greasy slob like Old Wang manage to bag such a stunning wife? Does that mean I might have a shot, too? Then, today happened. I heard the soft click of their front door closing. I'm hyper aware of that sound. Usually, I only hear it in the dead of night. But today, it was only 5 in the afternoon. My heart started racing. I crept over to the peephole, peeked through, and instantly saw it. Ah Jen, wrapped in the arms of some guy in a dress shirt and shorts. You're really quitting? What a shame. It took me a whole year to track you down. I'm married now. I don't want to do this anymore. The guy started tossing his shirt aside. Do you believe me? Since you quit the business, I haven't been with anyone else. Yeah, right, like I'd believe that, Ah Jen teased, playfully punching him in the chest. Could you even handle that? Didn't you go crazy holding it in? 3 minutes later, the man pulled 3 100 yuan bills out of his pocket and stuffed them under the pillow. I don't want you doing this anymore, either. I don't think anyone is good enough for you. Ah Jen didn't push him away. She gently helped him get dressed, kissed him while in his arms, and then walked him to the door. It suddenly made sense to me. Businessmen are always sharp, and small business owners even more so. Old Wang was hustling hard at the very bottom of the ladder just to make ends meet. The only reason he could even marry a woman like Ah Jen was that, honestly, she wasn't exactly a catch either. She had been around the block, so no matter how pretty she looked, she wasn't exactly what you'd call a good woman. Maybe in Old Wang's eyes, sleeping with Ah Jen even once felt like he was saving $300 a pop. That's why he never wanted to miss a single night. And as for Ah Jen's passionate performances, they were nothing more than muscle memory from her old job. Maybe she did it for the money. Or maybe she was just lonely, but she had ultimately gone back to her old ways. 5 o'clock in the afternoon was exactly when Old Wang's restaurant got swamped with customers. I figured she had to be keeping it a secret from him. Old Wang might be a bit greasy, but his cooking was great, and his prices were really fair. In a working-class neighborhood like Old Market Street, he was actually one of the honest ones. A guy willing to break his back earning clean money would never, ever tolerate his wife making a living like that. Finding out the truth about Jen was like a bucket of ice water poured right over my head. That crushing sense of disappointment was honestly no different from seeing your own innocent first love sneaking in and out of the back door of some shady joint with her little handbag. I completely lost interest in the girl next door and just went back to my old routine. Power leveling accounts during the day, and writing web novels at night. I guess you could call it my own little career. Not long after that, I met a girl while gaming. She had this adorable profile picture, but her skills were total garbage, and our teammates were always flaming her. They'd complain about her choking at critical moments, having a terrible memory, and reacting way too slowly. They even joked that she was probably a dude in real life. Honestly though, I usually hate it when someone drags the team down, too. But hey, I was a paid booster. And the more players sucked at the game, the more business I got. So I always went out of my way to defend her and cheer her up. One time, she got flamed so hard she just rage quit. Right after that, she actually reached out and gave me her contact info. As soon as I added her, a video call popped right up on my screen. And there on the screen was this poor, adorable girl with a sweet round face, crying her eyes out. Later on, I took her out for a $6 bowl of spicy hot pot. And we just slowly got closer after that. We'd talk for hours every single day. She never cared that I was broke, and I never cared that she was a bit goofy. Her name was Xiao Yu, and it wasn't long before we started dating. During that time, Jen completely faded out of my world. My relationship with Xiao Yu kept getting stronger, and I was just so happy being with her. I finally understood just how wonderful being in love could feel. My only gripe was that Xiao Yu was super traditional. Even when it was just the two of us alone in a room, the most I could do was hold her hand. She insisted on saving the best moment for our wedding night, wanting to make sure I married someone pure. I was a bit frustrated, sure, but honestly, I was mostly just deeply moved. Whenever I felt really down, I would start peeking through the hole in the wall at Jen again. She didn't get a lot of customers, but they sure came in all shapes and sizes. There were white-haired old geezers, and even young guys who were younger than me. It was always $300 a pop, and she only took cash. That guy from before came around a lot, too, and Jen was only ever sweet and tender to him. Come to think of it, Jen made way more money than I did working my fingers to the bone. I felt a little jealous, but I also kinda looked down on it. Another month went by, and Xiao Yu finally let me kiss her. She was so nervous, keeping her eyes squeezed shut, too scared to open them. She even looked dead serious and told me I was the only man she'd ever marry. I was absolutely thrilled. I always thought a guy like me would never, ever find a girlfriend. I couldn't even imagine that a sweet, cute girl would actually be the one to say she wanted to marry me. Then, she told me that she had already told her family about us. Her parents were both farmers who weren't very good with words, so they left the whole marriage thing entirely up to her older brother. Right then and there, I promised her I would treat her like a queen. That I'd listen to her brother, and we'd build a wonderful little life together. That day, she was the one who kissed me, and she stayed wrapped in my arms for a really, really long time. A couple of days later, her brother gave her a call. She handed the phone over to me. On the other end of the line, her brother told me he completely supported our relationship. He said as long as I treated Xiao Yu right, they would welcome me into the family. The only catch was that I had to prepare a bride price of $188,000. Once I had the money ready, I could officially propose. Xiao Yu saw how awkward I looked, and quickly explained that the going rate for bride prices in her village was actually $288,000. Her brother had actually offered to lend us $100,000, and she said she'd bring all that money back with her after we got married, to use as a nest egg to start our new life. $188,000 really wasn't asking for much. But I just didn't have that kind of cash. My parents had been in poor health for a long time, and my family had absolutely zero savings. I felt completely crushed as I walked back to my rented apartment. I just sat there staring blankly at my computer for ages. Winter had already set in by now, so even right in the middle of the day, it was bone-chillingly cold in that room. Click, the soft sound of a door shutting echoed from next door again. Feeling totally stressed and restless, I crept over to the hole in the wall and heard Jen's voice. "It's been so long since you came over. Did you forget all about me? I ran into some trouble with my business. But look, I came to see you the second I got a break." The man's voice drifted through, and then he pressed her with another question. No one else has been coming to see you lately, right? Ah-Jen froze for a second. Then she raised her hand, slapped him hard across the face, and shoved him away. So that's still the kind of woman you think I am, huh? Just get out. Don't you ever come looking for me again. No, that's not what I meant. The man scrambled to explain himself, rushing forward and throwing his arms around Ah-Jen. I'm just too crazy about you. I swear, I don't care about your past at all. Honestly, I just feel like I'm not good enough for you. I just want to be with you forever, that's all. Ah-Jen softened at his words, and she wrapped her arms around him in return. I was hit with a whole wave of mixed emotions, especially thinking about old Wong down in the restaurant on the ground floor right now. Tossing his wok, shouting out orders, and bowing and scraping to every poor sap that walked through the door. He was downstairs greeting customers with a warm smile, while his beloved wife was upstairs whispering with another man. Knowing that just made me feel incredibly sick and conflicted. Soon, things quieted down between them. Ah-Jen snuggled into the man's arms, acting like a whiny little girl, and softly asked, "How's the business going?" "I want to start my own business," he replied. "There's a really great opportunity right now. We could easily make several times our money back. But, I'm a little short on cash. So, how much do you need?" she asked. "At least 200,000, he sighed. "Though, obviously, the more the better. I'll give it to you." The moment those words left Ah-Jen's lips, the man leapt up from the bed in absolute shock. He hugged her tight, refusing to let go. "As soon as I make that money, I'm taking you away from here. We'll go to Shanghai, or Shenzhen. We'll live anywhere you want to live. You are the only woman I will ever marry." Ah-Jen was so deeply moved, pressing herself tightly against his chest. "I have been waiting for this day for so long. I honestly can't stand living like this anymore. Don't you worry, once this money goes in, I'm going to be rich overnight. That money is my bride price and all my savings. You absolutely cannot betray me. I'll go to the bank and withdraw the cash tomorrow. Come and pick it up the day after tomorrow." Right before the man left, Ah-Jen called out his name, Ah-Chang. Old Wong had given his bride price and every penny of his savings, all to Ah-Jen, yet, here she was, taking all that hard-earned money, just to please some sleazy lover. When I thought about how I had to scrape together 188,000 just for a bride price, just so I could marry Xiao Yu, I actually felt a weird, twisted sense of jealousy toward Ah-Chang. As I sat there feeling incredibly sorry for old Wong, a dark, dangerous thought suddenly popped into my head. First thing the next morning, Ah-Jen and old Wong headed out together. They didn't get back until almost noon. She was clutching a heavy-looking bag. She took the 300,000 cash from her bag and split it into 3 brown paper envelopes, hiding them right under the deep freezer by the door. That freezer was where old Wong stored his ingredients. He had another one down in the shop, so this one was probably just an old backup. The second she finished hiding the cash, her phone rang. "Ah-Jen, I just whipped up a few new dishes. Come downstairs and help me taste test them." "Okay honey. I'll be right down. It's about time for lunch anyway." The moment Ah-Jen went downstairs, I quietly slipped through the window into their apartment, felt around for those brown paper envelopes, and bolted right back into my own place. I knew damn well I was committing a crime, but I was willing to bet on one thing. Ah-Jen wouldn't dare make a scene. If I won this bet, Ah-Jen would get what she deserved, and I'd finally have the cash to marry Xiao Yu. If I lost, man, I didn't even want to think about it. So I just forced myself to stop overthinking. I sat at home, my heart pounding in my chest, trying to figure out what to do. Finally, I shoved the envelopes under my kitchen cabinet. Ah-Jen didn't come back to the apartment all afternoon. It wasn't until late into the night that she and old Wong finally walked through the door. As soon as they got in, old Wong said, "I'm gonna take a shower. Wait for me in bed. Keep those clothes on." Ah-Jen was wearing fleece-lined sheer tights and leather boots. She looked just as stunning as she did in the summertime. Thank God she was completely glued to her phone, texting away, and didn't even glance toward the bottom of the freezer. As for whatever show they were putting on tonight, I had absolutely zero interest in watching. I just prayed they would hurry up and go to sleep. Lights out for the night. The next morning, Ah-Chang showed up. After a brief chat, Ah-Chang couldn't wait to ask where the money was. Ah-Jen was a bit annoyed, throwing a little tantrum and refusing to speak. Ah-Chang spent ages coaxing her. He promised to marry her and swore she was his one and only love. Only then did Ah Jen point under the freezer. I gave you all 300,000. Ah Chang planted a huge kiss on her. Oh darling, I love you so much. With that, he dropped to the floor and started digging around, but then his face went blank. It's not here, Ah Jen. There's absolutely nothing underneath. Impossible, are you kidding me? I'm serious, look for yourself if you don't believe me. Ah Jen suspiciously dropped to the floor, peeked under the freezer, and instantly collapsed onto the ground in shock. Clutching her chest, she gasped. The money, where is it? Ah Chang glared at her with full suspicion. That's what I should be asking you. Where is the money? I clearly put it right underneath. I placed it there with my own 2 hands. How could it just vanish? Ah Chang's expression instantly turned cold. He adjusted his clothes and scoffed. I get it now. You're playing me, aren't you? And no, I'm not. I really withdrew the 300,000. Every single bill was stuffed into that bag, and I hid it right under the freezer. Ah Chang raised his hand and gave her a rough shove. Ah Jen let out a sharp cry. You little brat, you dare play me? Ah Chang whipped out a strap and gave Ah Jen a harsh smack. I've already signed the contract. Where is the money? Where the hell is it? After taking a few brutal hits, Ah Jen slumped onto the floor. She clung tightly to his leg, pleading endlessly. But Ah Chang was already blinded by rage. He threw the strap aside and violently grabbed Ah Jen by the collar, dragging her forcefully toward the north window. That window sat high up, directly overlooking Old Wang's casserole shop downstairs. If Old Wang just glanced up, he would see his own wife being pinned against the windowsill and utterly humiliated. Pointing downstairs, Ah Chang snarled viciously. If you don't have the cash, I'm going to plaster your dirty little secrets all over this street. After Ah Chang stormed off, Ah Jen crawled back to her bed in absolute despair, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. I felt a pang of guilt. Such a gorgeous woman, anyone would feel sorry for her. Ah Jen lit up a cigarette, her eyes suddenly turning icy cold. She dialed a number. Hubby, I think we have rats in the house. Do you still have any of that strong rat poison from last time? Yeah, I've got some at the shop. I'll bring it home for you in a bit. Great. They're scaring me to death. Bring back a little extra, okay? Ah Jen definitely didn't want that poison for the rats. She was planning to finish off Ah Chang. If someone ended up dead, there was no way I could stay out of it. Sheer panic instantly washed over my entire body. Just a few minutes later, Old Wang arrived home and handed over a glass bottle wrapped in layers of plastic bags. You need to be incredibly careful with this. One taste and it's lights out. Old Wang warned her over and over again. Now hurry on downstairs and let's eat. Ah Jen walked over to the windowsill and glanced down. Once she confirmed Old Wang was back in the shop, she finally picked up her phone and called Ah Chang. Ah Chang, I'm so sorry. I only lied because I was so scared you'd leave me. I really did withdraw the money. Come and get it this afternoon, okay? I can't live without you. I just want to marry you. Ah Chang was silent for a moment. Okay, I'll head over and get it. I love you too. I just can't stand it when the person I love most lies to me. Hearing this, I quickly ducked back into my room, took out 3 file envelopes. After Ah Jen went out, I quietly sneaked back in and put the money right back under the freezer. After doing all this, I went back to my room and started playing video games, trying hard to calm my nerves. At 5 in the afternoon, Ah Chang showed up again. Ah Jen handed him a bottle of cola. Ah Chang didn't drink it. He just hugged Ah Jen and said, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so hot-headed. But I really do love you. Ah Jen replied so tenderly, I know. I love you too. The money and I are both yours. Ah Chang kissed Ah Jen's face all over. Where's the money? Ah Jen playfully whined. Oh, don't be in such a rush. You must be tired. Are you thirsty? I'm not thirsty. It's getting late. Ah Chang couldn't hold himself back anymore and started searching everywhere. The pillows, the nightstand, the wardrobe. Soon enough, his eyes locked onto the freezer. Ah Jen watched him without moving a muscle. What's this? Sure enough, from under the freezer, Ah Chang pulled out 3 brown paper bags. 300,000. Why is it covered in so much grease? Ah Jen, I love you so damn much. The cola in Ah Jen's hand slipped and hit the floor, bouncing off the edge of the bed and spilling all over the place. Once I strike it rich, I'll come right back and marry you. Ah Chang quickly threw on his clothes, pushed the door open, and vanished outside. Oh, Ah Jen just stared blankly. How did the money get back there? It wasn't long before old Wang got into a massive screaming match with the landlord. He stormed into the house furious, blocking the front door and cursing. We agreed no rent increase for 10 years. It's only been 3 years and he wants to raise it, and double it, straight up. A Jen brought over a glass of water to calm him down. Take it easy, honey. You have real skills. You can make money anywhere. Old Wang snatched the glass and smashed it violently against the floor. I am absolutely done renting a place for business. I'll be my own damn landlord. Go get our savings right now. I'm going to buy a shop right this second. Let's see who dares to push us around then. Hearing this, a Jen froze dead in her tracks. Old Wang roared again, go get it. What the hell are you just standing there for? A Jen closed the door. Not long after, the faint sound of things being smashed echoed from the room. I couldn't help myself, and peeked through the hole in the wall. I saw old Wang and a Jen going at it. Where's the money, you little cutie? I brought you out of that secret room. So where is the money? A Jen's hair was a wild mess, crying as if she were so moved. Old Wang snatched up a plastic toy knife next to him and held it right against a Jen. With a swift chop down, a Jen let out a terrified scream. Her whole body stiffening in place, just like she'd been electrocuted. The toy hit the edge of the bed, not leaving a scratch on a Jen. Old Wang raised his arm again. I was absolutely terrified. I rushed back into my room, quickly turned on my PC, and loaded up a game. My whole body couldn't stop shaking, knowing that right on the other side of that wall, some serious hacking and smashing was going on. Man, I seriously can't believe I rented this place. Faintly, I heard Jane let out a blood-curdling scream, and then, dead silence. Every single second felt like an eternity. I didn't dare to move a muscle. I barely even dared to breathe. Bang, 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 bang. Someone was pounding on my door. My heart practically leapt out of my throat. Knocking didn't stop. I forced myself to sound calm and yelled, "Who is it?" "It's your neighbor, old Wang." Just a second. I tried desperately to calm my nerves. I threw on my gaming headset, then opened the door. "Hey, Mr. Wang, shouldn't you be at your restaurant right now?" Old Wang just stared at me, deadpan. "Did I disturb you? What are you up to?" I tapped the massive headphones covering my ears. "Just gaming. With these on, I wouldn't have heard a thing unless you practically broke the door down." He completely ignored me and barged straight into my apartment. I followed him, trying to act like a welcoming host. "Come on in, it's just me living here." Bit of a mess, honestly. Old Wang slowly paced around my room. He even checked out the balcony, until his eyes finally locked onto the railing. He reached out, grabbed one of the iron bars, and gave it a violent yank. The bar didn't budge. Old Wang looked back at me and said, "You've got a lot of junk piled up on your balcony. Hope it's not bothering you." "The balcony? Oh, I never even go out there. The smell from down below is just too awful. I'm actually thinking about buying some weather stripping to seal the windows shut." You see, this old building. The north side faces the food street where old Wang runs his diner. And right below the south side is the garbage dump. The stench of the dirty water is absolutely nauseating. Pretty much everyone in the building has completely boarded up their south-facing balconies. And his balcony and mine are only separated by a single iron fence. "We're uncomfortably close. As long as it's not bothering you, that's fine," he muttered. Saying that, old Wang walked back inside and stared at my computer screen. The screen was showing the match results, and one line of giant text was glaringly obvious. Match duration, 26 minutes. I frowned. "Mr. Wang, did you need something from me?" "Need something? They say a good neighbor is better than a faraway relative. I wanted to treat you to a drink." "Right now?" I glanced at my phone. "It's barely past 5 p.m. Isn't your diner usually slammed right about now?" Old Wang let out a chuckle. "I've got my boys keeping an eye on things. Let's go grab a drink somewhere else." "Let's go." "Alright then. Thanks for the invite." I followed old Wang downstairs, and we took a turn out of the food street. We sat down at a barbecue stand a few hundred meters away. "You've seen my wife around, haven't you?" Old Wang started ordering skewers and beers without even asking me. Hearing that question, I quickly kept my head down. I bumped into her in the hallway once. Old Wang didn't even look up as he asked, "And what did you think of her?" "She's gorgeous. Your wife is a real beauty." Old Wang just started laughing at that. "Don't you find it weird? How a guy like me managed to bag such a stunning woman?" I forced a polite smile. "Not at all, Mr. Wang, you've got your own business, a solid income. And you're a great chef. Honestly, these days, just being able to support yourself is an achievement. Let alone taking care of a wife. Old Wong stared at me with a creepy, knowing smile. Little bro, you just sit at home playing games all day. You never go out to find a real job? I kept my cool and replied, gaming is my job, actually. You probably didn't know. A lot of people have the money but zero patience, so they just pay me to grind for them. Old Wong thought about it for a second. He said it was just like when you don't feel like cooking. And hire a private chef to do it for you. His conversation gradually went back to normal, and he finally calmed down. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief, feeling like I was safe for the time being. A bit drunk, Old Wong couldn't help but vent, saying the landlord was an absolute piece of trash. He maliciously jacked up the rent, just to force him out, so he could poach his staff and steal his clay pot business. I asked him what he was gonna do. He said, as an outsider, he couldn't fight the local bullies, and was planning to pack it up and head back to his hometown. But I knew exactly that he was actually going on the run. But man, that sucked. Everyone around here was going to miss out on his amazing food. We kept drinking until 11 at night before heading back. Once I got home, I deadbolted the front door, and quietly sneaked over to the hole in the wall. Old Wong was sitting on the edge of his bed, smoking right in front of the chest freezer. There was no one else in the room. When his cigarette burned out, Old Wong lifted the lid of the freezer. Inside, I could see an arm wearing pink pajamas sticking out. He just kept staring into it, his face totally dead, but terrifyingly vicious. The very next day, Old Wang's clay pot place put up a notice on the door. It said due to family emergencies, they'd be closed for a few days. A moving truck pulled up downstairs, and a few movers went into his place, carrying out all sorts of bags and boxes. They even hauled away that chest freezer. And just like that, Old Wong vanished. No one asked where he went, and nobody questioned why he didn't take his wife with him. Life went back to normal way faster than I ever expected. Sometimes people are just like that. No matter how huge a deal something is, once it's in the past, it stays in the past. Old Wang's old shop was quickly gutted and renovated. His clay pot sign was torn down and hauled off to the dump along with the construction debris. And after a round of loud firecrackers, a brand new hot pot restaurant officially opened its doors. Xiao Yu kept hounding me about proposing to her. She just wasn't the sweet, understanding girl she used to be. She fully knew I couldn't afford the 188,000 in bride price, but she kept pressuring me to give her brother an answer. Thinking about my crappy rental smelling like sewage, and realizing how easily a human life can be snuffed out with just a few blows. Realizing that years of love and the promise of marriage couldn't even compare to a $300 cheap thrill. I suddenly felt like, when it comes down to it, love is really nothing more than money and betrayal. So, I finally broke things off with Xiao Yu. She went completely ballistic. We got into a massive screaming match. She called me a piece of trash, and slammed the door in my face. It was my very first heartbreak. But hey, I never laid a finger on her. She could still marry some other guy pure and untouched. So I guess that was some tiny comfort. I spent the next week stumbling around like a total zombie. But I never in a million years expected Xiao Yu to actually reach out to me first. She apologized, saying she was acting like a total brat, and that she hadn't cherished what we had. She even said she had talked it out with her family. Her parents agreed to drop the bride price, no house, no car required. As long as I treated her right, we could get married. They didn't even care if we skipped the wedding banquet. She kept begging to see me. Of course, my heart melted. After all, she was my first love. The second we met, she threw herself into my arms, sobbing that she didn't want to live alone anymore. That she was too lonely and just wanted to move in with me. Looking down at her tiny, helpless little face, I was completely head over heels. That night, one thing led to another. I left my apartment with an agent to sublease, and spent all my savings on cigarettes and liquor. I took Xiaoyue back to her hometown to meet her parents, and honestly, everything went perfectly. Her folks didn't make any demands at all and happily gave us their blessing. Xiaoyue was acting like a shy little girl, keeping her head down, too timid to even look at me. I didn't see her older brother around. They said he was working in one of the coastal cities. That worked out for me, honestly. At least it was one less person to judge me. After that, we went back to my hometown. My parents were absolutely thrilled to meet Xiaoyue. They said she had a healthy figure, and that she'd definitely give us a big, chubby grandson someday. 1 month later, we got married. At an age where I had achieved absolutely nothing, my love life had somehow hit the jackpot. Surrounded by wedding wine, candy, and endless congratulations, I completely forgot about Old Street. I forgot about Old Wong, and I even forgot about that dead body stuffed inside the freezer. I only vaguely remembered her name was Azin, and that she used to work in a sketchy line of business. For Xiaoyu's sake, I started working my fingers to the bone to make money. We moved to another city together, and I started hustling from the very bottom. I got a job as a real estate agent. I don't know if it was just my wife bringing me good luck or what. But shortly after I passed my probation, a top-tier school was zoned right in the area we were selling. The properties sold like hotcakes, and I made my very first pot of gold off the commissions. It wasn't long before Xiaoyue got pregnant. At the ultrasound, the doctor told us we were having twins. That was hands down the happiest time of my life. We went from renting a place to buying our own home, from the suburbs to the city center, and from just the two of us to a family of 4. I figured I must have saved a galaxy in my past life for God to bless me this much. To give me such a wonderful reward, our relationship stayed incredibly strong. I'd be out hustling to make a living, while Xiaoyue stayed home to take care of the kids. I used to joke with my buddies, saying I won my amazing wife just by playing video games. As long as you dare to dream, even a game booster can find true love. In the blink of an eye, our 2 boys were already 8 years old. And Xiaoyue and I were celebrating our 10-year anniversary. To mark the happy occasion, and to show Xiaoyue just how much I love her, I decided to take the whole family on a trip. I picked out a few destinations, but the boys shot all of them down. I don't know where they saw the video, but they insisted on going to this little town in the southwestern mountains. The video showed a bed and breakfast halfway up the mountain, and I had to admit, the scenery was gorgeous. The online comments mentioned that the owner of the inn also ran a specialty restaurant right at the foot of the mountain. They served these massive local countryside dishes, and it was actually pretty famous online. Xiaoyue said that since the kids wanted to go, she was on board too. And of course, whatever she says, goes. Plus, I was getting pretty sick of the big city life anyway. Getting a taste of a small town sounded nice, so I booked our tickets right away. I even booked a suite with a private courtyard at that inn. It was a 10-hour journey. The kids were bouncing off the walls the entire time, so Xiaoyue and I had to take turns catching some sleep. We kept our eyes glued to the boys, terrified they'd run off somewhere. But the moment we dragged our exhausted bodies through the doors of that famous countryside restaurant, I saw the woman working the cash register. It was Azin. Wait, wasn't Azin dead? My long-buried memories came flooding back in an instant. Old Street, the iron railings, and that arm, dressed in pink pajamas, sticking out of the freezer. And then there was old Wong from back in the day, testing the waters, looking like he wanted to silence me for good. 10 years have passed, and I still don't know why, but I instantly knew the woman behind the counter was Ah Jen. Her long hair, like a reel of an old movie, brought back memories flashing clearly right before my eyes. The waiter led Xiao Yu and the kids to their table, but I was still frozen in place, lost in thought. Just then, Ah Jen looked right at me. I instinctively ducked my head and turned to walk away, but I slammed face first into the chest of someone behind me. Hey, it's you. I looked up, and it was old Wong. He flashed a wide grin, then suddenly yelled out, "Honey, get over here." Hearing his voice, Ah Jen walked over, asking in confusion, "What's going on? Who is this?" I quickly pulled myself together, forcing a look of pure surprise. "Boss Wong, Ah Jen, so you two opened this place. What a crazy coincidence." Once they found out I brought my wife and kids, Ah Jen immediately and warmly set us up in a private room with a beautiful view. This unexpected reunion left Xiao Yu feeling a little out of place. Ah Jen had taken great care of herself. Her skin was still fair, soft, and glowing. In stark contrast, Xiao Yu looked every bit the typical housewife. Old Wong was incredibly hospitable, ordering a table completely packed with food. We had the restaurant's signature hearty dishes, as well as famous local specialties. He even thoughtfully added a bunch of desserts the kids loved. After a few rounds of drinks, old Wong started talking openly, recalling how they went back to their hometown after leaving Old Market Street. But life there was pretty rough, so he had no choice but to bring Ah Jen to this little town. Falling back on their old trade and opening up a restaurant. Just like 10 years ago, we kept pouring drinks for each other. But we both knew our limits. At the table, Ah Jen occasionally chimed in with a few words. Her expression always carrying a hint of restraint. Whenever she looked at old Wang, her eyes were filled with absolute tenderness. And when she watched Xiao Yu taking care of the kids, they were filled with sheer envy. Yeah, I'm staying at the guest house up on the mountain. Old Wang waved his hand dismissively, saying boldly, stay as long as you want. Your big brother's got it covered. You're here on vacation. I'll cover all your food and lodging. Right as he finished speaking, my oldest son burst out crying. Xiao Yu looked so apologetic and explained, we've been in the car all day. The kids are just completely exhausted. Would it be too much trouble for Ah Jen to walk us back to the guest house? I'm afraid I'll get lost. I was just about to say I'd walk them back, but Xiao Yu gently put her hand on mine and whispered, you and old Wang are old friends reuniting far from home. It's so rare for you to get together, you should really have a few more drinks. I'll take the kids back to rest first, if Ah Jen doesn't mind helping out. Ah Jen looked over at old Wang, smiled, and replied, it's no trouble at all. I completely adore these two little ones. You guys are truly blessed. Xiao Yu took the two kids by the hand, and followed Ah Jen out of the private room. Then, it was just old Wang and me left in there. Old Wang, his face flushed red, grabbed my hand and said, my brother, we've both had it rough. I honestly never thought I'd ever see you again in this life. We kept drinking for another 20 minutes or so. A Jen called old Wang, and he put the phone on speaker. Honey, I know I didn't ask you first, but I went ahead and changed the room for his family. There's a hornet's nest right outside their original room in the east courtyard. I was worried it might scare the kids, so I moved them to the Daishin section in the north courtyard instead. Old Wang just gave a flat reply, got it. I'll take him over right now. At that exact moment, I honestly felt a weird sense of admiration for old Wang. A Jen's voice was so soft and gentle, carrying this faint, almost invisible trace of pure submission and fear. It was just like one of those historical dramas, like a terrified concubine walking on eggshells around the emperor. On the way up, old Wang explained to me, I actually renovated all these mountain cabins myself. And there really is a huge, wild hornet's nest right outside the courtyard you booked. I was just planning to get someone to come deal with it. Before I could even say a word, he kept going, the north courtyard is way quieter anyway. You just have to walk a little further up the hill. Come on, I'll take you up there. The mountain breeze will help you sober up. The mountain lodge was this rustic, old schoolhouse with a dark tiled roof. Wooden porches, leaning right against the hillside. They even built a neat little courtyard out front. When we were about 50 feet from the gate, A Jen was already walking down to meet us. Your wife and the kids are all settled in, she said. Don't worry about a thing. Old Wang just smiled and nodded. Then he turned to me. Alright brother, you head on inside. Me and your sister-in-law are gonna head back down the mountain. As he said that, he grabbed A Jen's hand, and turned to walk back down. After taking just a few steps, old Wang looked back over his shoulder to warn me. Oh, by the way, make sure you tell the kids. Do not let them play behind the mountain. There's a steep cliff back there. It's really not safe. A chilly breeze swept through the mountains, and as I watched them walking away hand in hand, this unexplainable, sinking feeling hit me. A Jen definitely hadn't died. That much was an absolute fact. The only logical explanation was that all those years ago, old Wang genuinely thought he had killed her. But in reality, A Jen had somehow survived. God knows why, but they ended up getting back together, and moved to this tiny town to start their lives all over again. Xiao Yu had already put the kids to bed. The second she heard me come in, she rushed out and shushed me. That's just how she was. Her family and the kids were always her absolute #1 priority. A Jen might be stunning, but to me, she didn't even come close to my Xiao Yu. Over the next few days, our little family just explored the town with the kids. It was a tiny place, just one river winding through an ancient town. It was completely surrounded by mountains, and the kids were having the time of their lives. They had never seen real mountains and rivers before. It was like they discovered a whole new world. They just kept running around like crazy. But Xiao Yu, she seemed like something was really bothering her. She had zero energy all day long, and you could see this faint, heavy worry hiding in her eyes. Old Wang and A Jen actually left town on the second day of our trip. Their shop assistant told us they went deep into the mountains to buy local goods and cured meats. Apparently, they make the trip 2 or 3 times a season, and are usually gone for 3 to 5 days. But before he left, old Wang specifically told us that everything our family of four ate and drank at his shop went straight on his tab. He insisted we wouldn't pay a single dime, and made me promise to wait until they got back, so we could drink the herbal wine he'd bring back from the mountains. And honestly, we slowly got used to this quiet mountain life. Every day we'd head out at sunrise, quietly enjoying the peace of the mountains in the courtyard. But I guess we were just too used to the city. We started getting more and more headaches and feeling weak in the mountains. We were dizzy and sleepy all day. I groggily opened my eyes, feeling my whole body aching. Two figures appeared right in front of me. I shook my head hard, staring for what felt like forever. Before I realized it was Lao Wang and Ah Jen, I struggled, trying to stand up. But the second I pushed with my arms and legs, I lost my balance and crashed to the floor. That's when I realized I was tied to a chair. The thick rope was digging deep into my flesh, hurting right down to my bones. My vision slowly cleared. Lao Wang and Ah Jen were just standing there, completely expressionless. One staring dead at me, the other staring at the corner beside me. I followed their gaze, only to see Xiao Yu tied to a chair too. She wasn't saying a word, not struggling at all. I knew something was horribly wrong, and instantly panicked about the kids' safety. Then, Ah Jen spoke up. The kids are asleep next door. In a bit, we'll throw them off the cliff first. The cliff? What the hell are you doing? Let me go, I screamed, trying to break free from the ropes, but no matter how hard I pulled, it was useless. Once it gets dark, we'll throw the two kids off the cliff first, let them fall to their deaths. Then we'll push you two down from the other side. Ah Jen's tone was completely flat. People will just think the kids were playing and fell, and that you two slipped and fell while looking for them. Ah Jen looked at her watch and added, almost time, just one more hour. I knew they weren't joking around. The look in Lao Wang's eyes was exactly the same as when he tried to test me all those years ago. I screamed at them, we're staying at your inn, eating at your restaurant every single day. If I disappear, do you really think you can get away with it? It doesn't matter, Lao Wang said, a cold smirk creeping onto his face. Right now, we are supposedly deep in the mountains gathering wild herbs. Even if the cops suspect us, we have an alibi. The Daishin area isn't even part of the inn's guest rooms. Who would ever know you stayed here? I suddenly remembered, back when we were drinking, that phone call Ah Jen made to Lao Wang. It turns out he deliberately took the suite we booked and moved us to the Daishin area. All the weird feelings that had been building up inside me these past few days came rushing to the surface all at once. Ah Jen went out of her way to move us to the Daishin area, just to get us far away from the inn and the hotel. But this place is right next to the cliff. They've been married for over 10 years, and things almost turned deadly back then. So why was Ah Jen being so polite when she called Lao Wang? That wasn't the tone of a married couple at all. It was a secret code they had worked out beforehand. And at dinner, Lao Wang never even mentioned going into the mountains to gather herbs the next day. The mountain roads are so rugged, so the night before, how could he, just for me, a stranger of a neighbor he hadn't seen in 10 years, drink so much alcohol? A wave of exhaustion washed over my body again. Ever since we moved into the Daishin area, this weakness had been getting worse every single day. I just thought it was travel fatigue, or having trouble adjusting to the local environment. But thinking about it now, they were clearly drugging us. So you planned this all along? I roared in absolute despair. Why? It's been 10 years. Why are you still doing this to me? Ah Jen just pointed at Xiao Yu next to me, her tone dripping with absolute contempt. Why don't you ask your wife why she traveled all this way to find me? I looked over at Xiao Yu. She was still completely motionless, eerily quiet. She always valued our child's life more than her own. Yet right now, she wasn't putting up the slightest fight, not even a flicker of emotion in her eyes. Ah Jen took a few steps toward me, and squatted down in front of me. Her tone was dripping with sarcasm. Since you won't say it, I'll tell your husband myself. Looking at you, you must have been doing pretty well for yourself these past few years, huh? You're right, it's been 10 years, so why come bother us? Wasn't living a good life enough for you? I kept shaking my head, desperately trying to explain. You've got it all wrong. We're just here on vacation. It was my son. He was scrolling through videos and saw this place. He saw your guest house and the big bowl dishes. This is really just a coincidence. Ah Jen let out a cold laugh. Really? Such a coincidence? Then is you and your wife getting together a coincidence too? I started trembling all over. I yelled at her fiercely, what the hell do you mean? I won't let you insult her. Maybe, Ah-jen said, standing up. She walked back to old Wang's side, and flashed me a bright, beaming smile. But that smile was full of contempt, disdain, and even a bit of pity. This wife of yours, she was actually married before. There was another man. They grew up together, and went into the city together to find work, but neither of them had any education, so they couldn't find good jobs. They couldn't make any money, so they split the work. Your wife was in charge of hooking up with guys in online games, playing the innocent little girl, using marriage as a cover to scam bride prices, while that man pretended to be her older brother, taking full charge of her marriage arrangements. Before you, they had already scammed several idiots. You're lying, I interrupted Ah-jen. Xiao Yu's family register says she's unmarried. Her brother works out of town. And besides, she never asked me for a bride price. Ah-jen looked completely dismissive. Oh, is that so? Why did she suddenly drop the bride price and willingly marry you? If someone had asked me that at any point in the past 8 years, I would have firmly told them, because we truly love each other. But right now, at this very moment, I suddenly couldn't say the words. 10 years ago, Xiao Yu first desperately urged me, give the bride price to her brother. But less than a week after I decided to break up, she did a 180-degree turn. She didn't want anything at all. She only begged to marry me. We didn't have the wedding in her hometown. And over these 8 years, we barely even went back to her family's place. As for her brother working out of town, I never met him, not even once. Xiao Yu always said, since she married me, she belonged to my family. So of course, we had to go to my home for the new year. As for her parents, she only ever video called them from time to time. Seeing me stay silent, Ah-jen added, your wife and that man had a wedding in the village. They just didn't get the marriage certificate, that's all. I guess you haven't been to her hometown much, huh? Otherwise, the villagers would have told you long ago that she's just used goods. I glared back furiously. Even if he's damaged goods, he's still way better than a tramp like you who's been passed around 1,000 times. Ah-jen's face instantly darkened, her eyes filled with pure, murderous hostility. I just sneered. Does your husband even know? Does he know you're running a little business from home? Does he know your rate is only $300? Old Wang walked up to me in dead silence, raised his hand, and slapped me hard across the face. Don't you dare insult her. I spat out a mouthful of blood and mocked them. Oh, I get it now. You husband and wife have quite the setup going on. The missus is in charge of making money on her back, and Boss Wang keeps watch downstairs. No wonder you stopped selling clay pots too. I guess it just doesn't bring in the cash as fast as she does. Old Wang was furious and raised his hand to hit me again. But Ah-jen reached out and stopped him. He's doing it on purpose. He just wants to piss us off. We are not falling for it. I kept laughing. Boss Wang, I bet you didn't know your wife made a fortune selling her body, did you? Do you even know who she gave all your money to? A solid 300,000. How many bowls of stew do you have to sell to earn that back? I shot a look at Ah-jen. Wasn't he going to wipe you out? What, has your husband seen so much that he's developed an iron shell and isn't afraid of anything anymore? Old Wang silently pulled out a filthy rag and shoved it into my mouth. You sure know a lot, don't you? Ah-jen walked slowly over to Xiao Yue, gently lifting the girl's chin with her fingertips. You beat around the bush asking me all those questions the other day. Well, I'll tell you right now. Your precious brother Chang spilled everything about you too. He said you laid there like a dead log in bed, and he wouldn't even care if you hooked up with some gamer guy in real life. And then, he was gone. He was right under the bed, and after that, he was stuffed straight into the freezer. In that split second, Xiao Yu's eyes went red, and huge teardrops came rolling down her face. I couldn't believe it. This brother Chang Ah-jen was talking about was the exact same brother Xiao Yue said was working out of town. Even if I absolutely didn't want to believe it, everything that happened 10 years ago played out right in front of my eyes. It all made sense now. Because the landlord suddenly raised the rent, old Wang had stormed home in a rage. He demanded Ah-jen take out their savings to buy the shop. But when he realized the money was completely gone, he got into a screaming match with her. Blinded by absolute anger, old Wang started throwing punches at Ah-jen, but accidentally slammed his fist into the edge of the bed instead. And it was in that exact moment that old Wang finally noticed. There was another man hiding under their bed, As sharp as old Wong was, he instantly knew. Ah Jen was cheating on him. And the guy hiding under the bed definitely had something to do with the missing 300,000. Completely consumed by rage, old Wong instantly sent that guy straight to his grave. After the guy was dead, old Wong slowly snapped back to reality. And then, a paralyzing fear washed over him. His burning hatred for Ah Jen slowly warped into a twisted kind of dread. One was a ruthless killer, and the other was a cheating scumbag. In that very moment, they covered for each other and became partners in crime. They hid the truth together. Old Wong didn't come looking for me back then, to test the waters or silence me. He just needed to distract me on purpose, so Ah Jen would have enough time to clean up the crime scene. Ah Jen scrubbed away all the blood, stripped off Chang's clothes, and shoved his body straight into the freezer. After that, she disguised herself as a man, and quietly slipped away from the old neighborhood. Once old Wong finished moving, the two of them met up without a hitch. Xiao Yue had a sudden change of heart, insisting she would only marry me. It was because she found out Ah Chang had disappeared. She knew his scams were a crime. If things blew up, I was the only one who could protect her. Clinging to me, and becoming my wife was the only choice she had left. Everything just fell into place too perfectly. I couldn't help but believe it. It's been 10 years. We got married, had kids, and shared countless seemingly beautiful memories. But deep down, Xiao Yue never really let go of Ah Chang. I shook my head frantically, letting out a muffled roar, glaring furiously at Ah Jen. Ah Jen walked over and pulled the rag out of my mouth. I looked at Xiao Yue with a bitter smile. Did you only marry me because Ah Chang went missing? Xiao Yue looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. I'm so sorry. My heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. That day at dinner, did you make the kid cry on purpose, just to use it as an excuse to have Ah Jen take you back to the guest house? Was it just to get her alone so you could ask about Ah Chang's whereabouts? Xiao Yue silently nodded, and the kids begging to come here for vacation. Was that your doing too? Xiao Yue didn't say a word. I gritted my teeth. You got our son killed. Xiao Yue instantly broke down sobbing. I just wanted to know where he was. I figured he was already dead. I knew he was the one who did it. How was I supposed to know he'd recognize me? Ah Jen spoke up coldly. Your precious Ah Chang scammed 300,000 out of me. I tracked him down. I saw it with my own eyes. He gave all that money to you, and you two even celebrated together. I didn't expect him to be so greedy. He blackmailed me, time and time again. He deserved to die. Even if old Wong hadn't hacked him to pieces, I would have ended him myself. It's getting late, old Wong interrupted Ah Jen. Time to send your family of 4 on their way. Panic completely took over me. I frantically kowtowed to old Wong. Please, I'm begging you, let my 2 kids go. I can die. I'll end my own life right here. I absolutely won't dirty your hands. Old Wong let out a cold snort. He glanced at Ah Jen. I was never destined to have a son, so I have zero sympathy for you. I'm going to throw the 2 kids off the cliff, then I'll come back and finish them off. You keep an eye on them here. With that, old Wong left the room. Ah Jen lit a cigarette. Stop screaming. Even if you scream your lungs out, no one can hear you. It takes half an hour to walk from here to the cliff. You're crying way too early. By the time you actually need to cry, you won't have any tears left. All the color drained from my face. I stared at Ah Jen. Does old Wong still love you as intensely every night like he used to? Ah Jen was caught off guard by the question. Aren't you afraid he's going to wipe you out next? As long as you're dead, there won't be a single soul left in this world who knows he murdered someone. With his current wealth, it wouldn't be hard for him to marry an 18-year-old girl. Besides, he knows you were sneaking around with Ah Chang. But does he know about the filthy things you did back home all those years ago? He doesn't know that besides Ah Chang, you were messing around with so many other men, does he? He was ready to kill you over just one Ah Chang. And now you're 40 years old. Your looks are fading. Take a wild guess, will he still want you? And if he decides he doesn't want you anymore, do you honestly think he'd leave you alive? Let me tell you the truth. Ever since I laid eyes on you two, I've kept my guard up. I wrote down everything about what happened 10 years ago, along with my ordeal these past few days, and posted it all online. Even set it to auto-publish. If anything happens to me, neither you nor old Wong will be able to get away. You've been hiding in the shadows for years, living day in and day out with a man who almost finished you off. It's all just to stay alive, isn't it? Jen, you are out of options now. You're nothing but a hollow shell leeching off old Wang. You only have one way out of this. Shut up, Jen shrieked in panic. A tiny spark of hope ignited in my chest. My relentless questioning had finally broken her composure. I am giving you a chance to live a safe and peaceful life. Let me go, and we'll go after old Wang together. We'll save my boy, then we finish him off. You come with me, and move to the big city to live the life you've always wanted. Jen furrowed her brows. Are you out of your mind? I let you go, so you can take out old Wang? Am I crazy, or are you? How can you guarantee you won't call the cops? How can I be sure you won't silence me too? Of course I can guarantee it. I roared back. I have a way to make you completely trust me. We can leave this godforsaken mountain together. Stay alive, and you can take everything he owns. Plus, I have a net worth of several million. You don't have to depend on him anymore. Not only will we survive, we'll live a damn good life. Fast forward 4 years, at the elementary school graduation ceremony. Both my boys, with their stellar grades, stepped onto the stage to give their speeches as the top graduates of their class. The moment they appeared, the audience erupted in rounds of applause. My older son began his speech. We want to thank our dad. His broad shoulders are our strongest pillar of support. My younger son chimed in. We want to thank our mom. Her gentle smile is our safest, happiest harbor. The other parents couldn't help but cast envious glances our way. During the intermission, the boys came sprinting toward me, throwing themselves into my arms from both sides. I smiled down at them and asked, so, are we keeping our little promise today? My older son looked up at me, gripping his little brother's hand. Auntie Jen, from today onward, my brother and I are going to call you Mom. Jen was overwhelmed with emotion, wiping away her tears as she endlessly praised them for being such sweet boys. The kids then happily ran off to join the rest of the activities. Jen linked her arm through mine, resting her head gently against my shoulder. Do you really not mind that I'm getting old? She asked softly. I gently patted her head. How could I ever? That year, the very first time I peeked through that hole in the wall and saw you, I was completely mesmerized. Jen held onto me tightly. Thank you, honey. If only we could actually get legally married. I gazed out into the distance. That day will come. It's just too early right now. Suddenly, my vision blurred for a second. It's been 4 years, yet flashes of that day still flicker in my mind. I had Jen push me over to Xiao Yu, and untie the ropes binding my hands. We tracked down old Wang, who was carrying the kids. The children were saved. They had been heavily drugged and were completely out cold. As for old Wang, we tied heavy stones to his body and shoved him right off the cliff. Late that night, Jen made the call to the police. The cops rescued me and the kids from the guest room at the Daishin Lodge. We had all been given sedatives. Xiao Yu was nowhere to be found in the master bedroom, leaving behind only a messy pile of clothes. There were tear marks on her body, and the exact same knockout drops in her system. Plus, old Wang's skin tissue was found on the bedsheets. I gave my statement to the police, saying that we were feeling unwell that day and didn't go out at all. Right after that, I completely lost consciousness, until Xiao Yu's screams jolted me awake. When I came to, I was already tied up in the guest room, and I could hear Xiao Yu crying for help. I even faintly heard her desperately screaming boss Wang's name. Jen, on the other hand, explained to the cops that she and old Wang were out in the mountains gathering local goods. Along the way, old Wang kept bringing up the new female guest, and how he deliberately arranged for her to stay in the Daishin area, way up away from the foot of the mountain. He even told the restaurant to give them a free meal. They were busy working until noon that day, when old Wang suddenly hurried off. Jen knew what a creep he was, so she rushed back immediately. After getting to the restaurant, the staff told her they hadn't seen old Wang come back, so she grabbed the workers and rushed up to the Daishin area. That's when they found out Xiao Yu had already passed away, and old Wang was nowhere to be found. He became a wanted fugitive. The story of him breaking in, assaulting the guest house's female customer, and silencing her when she fought back, quickly became the biggest news in town. No one ever went to eat at the restaurant again, and the mountain guest house was completely abandoned. Jen sold off everything she owned and left that little town. I told Jen that I would love her forever. She gave me this charming, seductive smile, and said, me too. Just wait 16 more years and I will delete that video. Then we can live a clean, peaceful life. I pulled her into a tight embrace, and whispered in her ear, I don't love you just because you filmed me choking the life out of Xiao Yu. I truly mean it. A-Gen hugged me back tightly and whispered in my ear, I know. You will definitely find a way to make me believe you.